You were born on a warm spring day in the year 1105 in the bustling capital of Bianliang during China's Northern Song Dynasty. Your father was a civil official with a position in the imperial court, so from the moment you let out your first cry, you were wrapped in silk and velvet, surrounded by the scent of agarwood incense. Your childhood passed peacefully, like a dream. You grew up in secluded private chambers where sunlight only filtered through intricately carved windows. You were taught to walk gently, to brew tea, to embroider, and to recite poetry. Your hands were white and soft, never having touched cold water or done any heavy work. In the eyes of your parents and those around you, you were a precious gem, a peony waiting to bloom, destined to marry into a noble family and continue a life of peace and glory. When you were 16, you were promised in marriage to the son of a general. Your future seemed set, filled with days as a wife and mother, living in respect and wealth. But you had no idea that outside those sturdy city walls, the storm of history was gathering, ready to crush the fates of tens of thousands of women, including you. In 1127, a massive catastrophe struck, known in history as the Jingkang Incident. The Jin army from the north flooded down like a flash flood, surrounding the capital. The weakness of the imperial court and the miscalculations of men pushed the country to ruin. The capital fell. And this was when your nightmare truly began. You remember that day as if it were yesterday, when Jin soldiers stormed into your manor. Your father, always a dignified man, now trembled on his knees, begging for his life. But they didn't need his life. They needed assets. And you, along with your mother and sisters, were those assets. You were dragged out of your room and stripped of your gold hairpins. The victors looked at you not as a human being, but as an object, a juicy spoil of war. The Song court lost the war and had to pay war indemnities, but because the treasury was empty, they decided to use women to pay off the debt. You were horrified to learn that you had a price tag. As the daughter of an official, you were valued at 500 gold ingots. Your body, your dignity, your life were suddenly converted into cold numbers on handover papers between two nations. You were herded together with thousands of other women, from the empress, princesses, and concubines to the wives and daughters of officials and commoners. All were forced into a massive prisoner convoy, beginning a tragic journey to the snow-covered north. On the journey, the biting cold of the north was the first thing to torture you. You, a girl who had never suffered hardship, now had to walk thousands of miles on swollen, bleeding feet. Those who walked too slowly were brutally beaten. Some couldn't bear it and died, abandoned by the roadside. When you arrived at the Jin capital, because your beauty wasn't considered outstanding enough, you were pushed into the laundry department. The name sounded gentle, but in reality, it was a hard labor camp combined with a brothel. By day, you had to soak in freezing water to wash mountains of blood-stained and filthy clothes for the Jin soldiers. Your once jade-like hands were now swollen, cracked, and ulcerated by lye water and the cold. You had to scrub and wring clothes until your hands lost all feeling and your back bent from pain. If you were slow or didn't wash them clean enough, the leather whip would lash down without mercy. But nightfall was when the true hell on earth revealed itself. The laundry department was also where Jin soldiers came to seek pleasure after their battles. You had no choice, no right to refuse. You became a soulless body, letting them torment you. There were nights you lay curled up on a tattered mat, looking up at the cold moonlight through a small window crack, asking yourself where the young noble lady of the Bianliang capital had died. Who is this person lying here? Why must you endure a life worse than that of an animal? Years passed and your beauty faded under the torture of time and men. When you no longer had the strength to wash clothes and no longer had any looks left to serve the soldiers, you were considered waste. You were kicked out of the laundry department and became an old slave, doing the filthiest jobs like cleaning stables and dumping trash. You lived flickeringly like a lamp before the wind in a strange land. No family, no homeland, no one to pity you. Memories of your parents, of your warm old home, were now just flickering illusions and broken dreams. You watched women in the same plight fall one by one due to disease and exhaustion, and you knew your day was not far off either. Then, on a freezing winter day, when snow covered the entire northern sky and earth in white, you collapsed beside a trash pile behind the barracks. Your emaciated body, nothing but skin and bones, no longer had enough warmth to fight the cold. In your final moments, you didn't feel pain, only a gentle release. You remembered the spring when you were 16, standing under a peach blossom tree back home, smiling shyly as you thought about the future. Your life ended like a speck of dust swept away in the storm of history. No one remembers your name. No one built a tombstone for you. You were just one number among tens of thousands of statistics regarding the spoils of war from that brutal conflict.